Dr. Hoover.
Good evening, everybody. The November 12th regularly scheduled board meeting. We'll go ahead and get started. Secretary Summers, attendance, please.
Yep, Dr. Reese,
Present.
Vice President McDonough,
Here.
Secretary Saunders here, Treasurer Whitney, here, and Trustee Schultz,
Here.
Trustee Ashton,
Here.
and Trustee Aldridge. Here.
Item number 2, changes to board agenda. Do we have any? No. Great. Start with item number 3, school presentations from Bridges High School. Ms. Van Loosen.
Good evening, thank you, and thanks for the water. I left mine in the car because the last time I came to the board meeting, I left it under my seat, and then I had to text somebody to pick it up and bring it for me, so I thought I wouldn't do that this time. I am Aletha Van Loosen, and I'm the principal of Oxford Bridges High School. Thank you for having me this evening and listening to a little bit about our school, things you may or may not know. I am sad to say that my 2 students who are coming this evening are unable to make it. They had transportation issues, but I still want to highlight them. Yuli Hang and Ava Kwok, both seniors. They have done a tremendous job, and I wanted to highlight them tonight because I've seen a marked change in them as students. Both of them had high truancy. They didn't come to school very much last year when they first started with us, and they connected with each other as well as with the staff. They come almost every day at this point, are doing well, and are looking to graduate timely in May. So I'm so proud of them, and I really wish they could have come, and I even had the questions up there so that they would remember the questions that I gave them for this evening. So a little bit about us. We are, of course, a seated alternative high school. Alternative meaning another option, something different, something else available for students in Oxford. Virtual Academy, traditional high school, Oxford Bridges. We serve 10th through 12th grade. Our current capacity is about 40 to 50 students. We have staff, we have 3 core teachers. We have a social worker, and we have a counselor now. Woohoo! They also man our online learning lab. So they do some social emotional learning. They use Zello for career exploration. Our graduation requirements are 22 credits. Our students can attend OTEC. We have about 12 students attending. And that's out of, we currently have this fall 40 students. So we have 12 of the 40 students attending OTEC. Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. Our students are not, it's not a consequence to come to us. It's an opportunity for timely graduation. So they are still welcome at dances, clubs, sporting events, whether they're participating or attending, and any classes at OHS. We do not have classes, art classes, language classes, because we're so small, so students can take those classes either online or they can go to OHS to take them. Students transfer from Oxford High School and OVA. We don't take out-of-district students unless they're already in our district. They're unable to graduate timely due to their credit deficiencies. Students do not attend because they've been suspended or expelled. So you can't go to the high school, get expelled, or be expelled and then come to Bridges. You might have been expelled in the past, possibly, but it's not an expulsion option. All our classes are seated. We do have credit recovery classes online or in the seated classes. So when I say they're all seated, even students that are doing recovery online are in a seated classroom doing that. Students, as I already said, can take classes at OHS for courses not offered. And then we have a couple opportunities to earn extra elective credits. Student academic success, and as I said, that's where students can have some social emotional learning. They have career planning around Zello. They can earn a half a credit for that, as well as they may also have an online course. So in one class, they may earn a half a credit for their online course, as well as a half a credit for the student academic success. And then we have a Maymester project, which I find to be amazing, but which you will be invited to if you choose to come. We have a gallery walk at the end that we invite people to. So what our Maymester is about is it's totally student-led. and they pick project areas that they have a passion about. So that could be substance use, it could be mental health issues, it could be animal abuse, it could be garbage, it can be environmental issues. We had students last year test the waters around Oxford to check the levels of, mercury and whatever other things you might find in water that aren't good for you. And they did this whole analysis. It was absolutely amazing. They did this whole chart analysis on it. So with the Maymaster project, they also, so they pick their topics of choice, but they also do a level of community. So whether they want to focus on the global, national, state, or local levels. And then from there, what is their project going to be? Is it going to be direct service, where they might go, so for example, we did have students who talked to the middle school about the risks of vaping. And then they could do indirect advocacy and research. So the students that did the water quality, that was research. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about our goals. First one is academic and improving critical thinking skills. We look to do that through the following strategies: encourage problem solving in and outside the classroom, help students to expand thinking by using appropriate strategies and routines, increase students' reflection of ideas and concepts in our classroom, increase curriculum rigor by increasing student expectation. Currently, we've raised our grade expectations to take advantage of different types of incentives that we may have that include, attendance incentives. I'm going to take a deep breath because I'm talking too fast and I'm stumbling over my words. Teachers are also developing strategies to improve higher order thinking, and then conferencing with students to ensure content understanding. All of my teachers do that. I have my language art teacher does that on specific days of the week. My math teacher does it every day by going around the room and ensuring that they understand the content being taught. Also, as far as the higher order thinking, one of the things that we really learned about and use is, I don't know if you've heard of Ron Richards' cultural thinking, but we went through 3 years of PD with that. So cultures of thinking it's a mindset, and it's a mindset of, well, we used to say, because I'm older than most of you, school is like work, maybe. School is like work, instead of going to work, you go to school. And so that's changing that thinking into school is really for learning. It's for finding out more about yourself. It's for finding some passions so that you can be successful for your future. So we no longer have work in the classroom. We have assignments. We might have assessments, but it's not finish your work. We're learning. We're not working, so to speak. So it's a full language change also, but it's also they have different strategies or routines for helping students to expand on thinking. Next, attendance. This is tricky. Most of my students have attendance issues when they come. So we find the best ways to improve attendance is making sure we're building positive relationships, developing an inclusive school. Because we're small, that really helps. It really helps when it's only 40 to 50 kids as opposed to 1,300 kids to make them feel like welcome in a family. Implement school-wide practices that engage students in events and celebrations. We have a thankfulness feast every November, and I buy the turkeys, and the food services does some things for us, but for the most part, we try to have it like a bring your own banquet with the students, and so we've been doing that. I've been there, 11 years, so 10 out of the 11 years I've been there. We do that, which is a lot of fun. We also do some things around Hispanic Awareness Month and Black History Month. Black History Month, we do a shoebox lunch. So there's some things to learn about that. So a shoebox lunch is something that Black people did back when the Jim Crow era because it was unsafe to travel. Where you stopped on the train was white stops, and so getting out to go into restaurants was something you couldn't do. So you packed your own lunches. And usually it was in like a shoebox or something such as that. So it was travel worthy. So we're talking about cornbread and chicken and things that could travel well. We have incentives for students who have met all classroom expectations. For example, phone usage, being able to listen to music, as well as engage and develop relationships with families. I have a kitten that I just got from a family because it needed medical care. So really, that parent texts me regularly. I send her pictures regularly. So just really, those relationships are so important for students to then feel confident and comfortable coming to school, knowing that we have relationships with parents. Okay, a little bit of data. So this is the student school climate survey data, and I'm sorry, we do not have enough parents to answer. You have to have at least 10 or more to get data. So I only have student data. I don't even have 10 staff, so it doesn't work with them either. So this is all student data. Again, this is where we did well, highest data points. Students aware of safety protocols in 23, 92%, in 24, 49 answered, 90%. I'm going to tell you now the differential here is 29 students answered in 23 and 49 answered in 24. And when you have a really small population, it's amazing the percentage difference that can happen. So that's going to be, on the next slide especially, that's going to be some of the data differences here. So we continued instruction practice around safety. All the students know how to use night locks. We have them practice to make sure they know that. In our new building, we've taken a couple of tours. We walked up to the church to show students where our meeting point would be should something happen. Administration is available for concerns. That's just have an open door policy. Kids are in my office regularly, being visible, knowing that you're there, knowing that you'll conference with parents, conference with teachers, conference with them if they need you. Learning standards and expectations are clear. Again, we have our teachers post their daily objectives in the class of what the learning is going to be, and then at the end of their learning, the teacher goes back over the objectives to make sure that they've hit what they were supposed to for the day. So for these percentages, the lowest percent is the better. Again, high learning standards for all students, 12% in 23, 24% in 24, increasing classroom rigor for all students, making sure that we're differentiating instruction to ensure all students are challenged. So one of the things that I was explaining to Tanya, I think one of the challenges we come up with is making sure our higher level students are really challenged. Pretty good in the middle, pretty good on the lower end, making sure those higher students are really challenged. Staff and students treat each other with respect. We're increasing communication, have consistent classroom and school expectations and follow through. Especially this year, we've implemented some classroom expectations or school expectations that we have all agreed on. So it's, we've all agreed on not only what the expectations are, but what the consequences are if it's not met. And that's school-wide, which again is easy to do when you have a small staff. Teachers set high expectations for all students. 10% strongly disagreed or disagreed. And then in 24, 22% strongly disagreed or disagreed with that. So we're just examining our current practices and review and revising where necessary. Like I said, we've already done that with regard to some discipline or some expectations in the classroom, and then as well as back to higher learning standards. I think that encompasses both of those areas.
The 29 and the 40.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing the 49 was from the end of last semester, and so.
End of last year, yep.
Yeah, end of last year. What percentage of students?
So 49% would be almost our entire population, right? And the 29%, I went back in my emails, I went back in everything to try and find out. I think what happened is we gave the survey after our seniors left, because we would have somewhere around 18 to 20 seniors And that's the only, we have a captive audience, they do it in school.
I was wondering if
And that's the only thing that I can think of with that large a gap.
okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
Unfortunately, I cannot confirm it. I called Anita, I was having everybody look for me. Past fundamentals, this is something we just started last year, last second semester. It is a survey that is school satisfaction, which is amazing. So we do this for our brand new students coming in from OHS or an OVA. And then we do it again, this was 3 months later. So we did it in January, second semester, the pre-test, so to speak. And then the post-survey we did in the end of April before the seniors left. So these are percentile rankings, meaning that in the feelings about school, 42% of the students, this is a nationally ranked test, so 42% felt positive as much as or more than the nationally surveyed students. 3 months later, 51%. Our differential is 8.8. So the areas that I'd really like to highlight is the attitudes towards teachers. We made a 34 percentile gain on that. So 73.5% of students felt positive about or more positive than peers nationally about their teachers. Am I making sense?
Like baby growth, right?
Yep. So I'm really, the three areas, general work ethic, attitude towards teaching staff, and response to curriculum demands. We made some fairly good gains on that. The next slide is our STAR assessment. This is also new, I believe to the district this year, but I don't know if elementary did that. No, elementary had not.
Everybody. The STAR assessment is new for everybody.
New for everybody, okay. So the STAR assessment I use as opposed to SAT scores. Why? Because SAT is not an adequate tool to measure gains for our school. Many of our students, they may be college bound, but they're not university bound because of the GPA that they come to us with. They may be bound at some point, but not directly after high school. So the SAT to them, they're not that interested in doing well necessarily because it's not important, because it doesn't mean something for their future of going to college after school. So this data is from the STAR assessment, and as I looked at it, it is a nice representation of our schools. So math, 16% are at or above benchmark, 19% are on watch, 48% intervention needed, and 19% urgent intervention, which means that they really need a lot of help to be successful with math. Reading, at or above benchmark, 45%, on watch, 26%, intervention needed, 29%, urgent intervention, none. So some of the things that I've already spoken about and putting into place for teaching staff is really just meeting with students, making sure they're understanding content, meeting them where they're at, and then helping them move forward. For example, Algebra 2, we start with algebra for probably the first 2 months to make sure that we're understanding even fractions, multiplying, dividing fractions, things such as that. With that, the freckle is the intervention piece of it. And the intervention, it pulls the data from STAR so that it's making its intervention directly related to the student's progress on STAR. STAR is also an adaptive test, so it's, I'm sure you guys know what adaptive means, but it goes up as students take the test. If they don't do well on a question, it meets what that question is for the next question. If they do well on the question, then it goes in a different direction. This last piece here, course completion, I just wanted to show how we do overall with our students and completing classes. Again, one of the differentials in percentages first and second semester may be because we get new students second semester. So we start, currently we have about 40 students. I will get about 10 to 15 more second semester. We start with a low 10th grade. So 10th grade, they're fairly new high schoolers, a little less mature than, say, your seniors. And so we have a smaller group of students so that we can get them involved in school, get them involved in what they need to do before we take the next set of sophomores. Our sophomore is the largest group that we take second semester. So I have 6 currently. We'll take another 5 to 6 second semester. Where juniors, I think we're taking maybe 3, seniors maybe 2. We also do that for the high school so that there's more spots available with each grade, each semester and each year. We do a demographic survey every year with our students just to ask questions about who they are, and there's some very personal questions which I'm not sharing, but some of the a little less personal questions. Why were you unsuccessful at your last school? Not doing homework, didn't attend regularly, didn't like traditional school, just don't like school. So almost 42% of students just don't like school. So we're batting against students who struggle in school as a whole. They don't really like it. And our goal is to get them to like it a little more, to like learning, to want to move forward in, after high school, whether that be for college, whether that be just career training. How are you feeling being an Oxford Bridges High School student? Happy and excited? It's all right, at least I'll graduate on time. And then really upset. Thankfully, only 3% are really upset, which is probably 1 to 2 students. And it's nice that at least, you know, more than half is happy about the opportunity. %8% of students are wanting to graduate. It's important to them. Only 47% have a career plan. I personally think having a career plan or having some idea is an important piece of why high school may not be priority for students. If you don't have a plan, it's hard to think education's important. And so that is really one of the things, and I love that when I first started at Bridges, we did not have the ability to go to OTEC like we do now. We didn't have a bus and all kinds of things. So it's awesome to be able to have those opportunities for students. We're going on a field trip with OHS to Career Quest, which provides a multitude of hands-on learning, talking to people about different areas of interest. We had OCC come in. We are going to OTEC for the 10th graders and the 11th graders that are currently not in so that they can see what it's like and what areas of interest they might have. And then lastly, do you plan on pursuing post-secondary education? 62% are looking more for skill-based learning, 14% trades, and then 24% college. Points of pride. I'm very proud of this school. That's Teddy up in the left corner. He's a wonderful dog, and the kids absolutely love him. What I love about our new building is we can close the hall door so that he can travel from class to class, and he's not contained in just one classroom. He's able to go, you know, see the kids. So this is just a little bit, you know, when you talk about relationships, when we do have events, we bring out our little ping pong table. It's a tabletop ping pong table. Cornhole, Santa hats in the classroom. So just some fun. Our graduation percent is 92% over the last 4 years. As you, 4th year, 5th year, by the time you get to 5th year, we are high 90s, 100%. We have a tradition of walkout. When our seniors walk out their last day, we do the color run colors. And so we do a gauntlet, so all the kids line up and have the color packets. And then the seniors run through, we throw it at them. And then it ends up into being just a big color war. It's a lot of fun. We all end up looking like that. And another tradition is we do buy our seniors T-shirts. They're Oxford, they get to design it and come up with an agreement, and then we order T-shirts for them. Our data, as I showed you, shows a positive increase of positivity towards school. That's what we look like. You can see 2 students dumping it on me. Teamwork. I've got an excellent team of people. And now that includes not just the Oxford Bridges people, but I'll talk a little more with the next slide, but being at OEIC has afforded us an opportunity to really have some support in a lot of ways that we did not have at the middle school, just because we were a little more isolated, and it was huge. This is a smaller setting, and so we just really have an opportunity to be supported in ways that we weren't, which is wonderful. But one of the things my students did is they went downstairs to help Loft make pies, apple pies. They spent a couple hours down there, and they loved it. They had such a nice time doing it. It was great for Jeannie, Ms. DeSico, and it was great for our kids. That's Halloween. We did, yep, so that's my team of teachers up there. We did Restorative Circle. We did, for Hispanic Awareness Month, we did a lovely lunch that we got from Carnival. I don't know if anybody of you know Carnival. Yeah. Yep. And then we did a piñata. And so one of the things that we've learned in the past years from some of our Hispanic students, that you don't just hang a piñata and hit it. You move it up and down. So they have a lot of fun doing that. And our new building. I can't say enough really about how amazing it is to have a spot, new furniture, you know, not red chairs and blue chairs and yellow chairs and orange chairs. And not that I'm necessarily fussy about everything having to match, but kinda. So it's really nice. The students feel appreciated being able to walk into a place and know this is theirs and it's new and the middle school is clean, so it's not any of that, but it's having our own things. Bridges furniture was used furniture when Bridges started. And so to have all new items for the students is amazing. The classrooms are so conducive to learning. So at the middle school, we had 3 classrooms, but they were connected on the inside, so you could walk from one classroom to another. The first year that I was doing a teacher observation, I couldn't hardly pay attention to the teacher because I could hear the teacher in the next room. And I thought, how is this for kids, right? Like, they're trying to learn, and they're all connected. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And then just the collaboration with other staff. So we had a really nice Veterans Day event yesterday that was headed up by OVA, and our students, you know, were able to participate in it. We have a safety team. It's not just Bridges safety team, it's OAIC safety team. I have an ELA mentor who's right in the building and comes and meets once a week with my new teacher. We have partnerships, so we're doing a PD partnership for MLK Day. So just so many things that, like I said, we did not have in the past. And on top of it all, beautiful grounds. I mean, it is beautiful out there. So that's it.
Awesome, thank you so much. Start with the board. Do you guys have any questions? No?
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
It was a great
I
presentation.
do.
Thank
I
you
have
so
one.
much. Oh, sorry, Mike. I'm not paying attention to you.
No, just, as far as your May master exhibition, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Right? Is there any opportunity for somehow to connect it with some of our 5th graders? Because I mentored some of the 5th grade exhibition last year, right? I don't know if that would be a possibility. because
don't know.
some of the topics line up, right? And maybe there's an opportunity to have at least some mentor. I mean, it's just pretty much sitting there listening to the fifth grader go through their presentation.
Right, that's probably their,
But-
because we do the individual defense also,
Yeah.
where you have to stand up
Yeah.
and defend why you chose that topic, what your role was in the group.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, certainly there's a couple of elementaries that are pretty close.
Yes.
I don't know if that's an opportunity.
I don't know. That will have to be something I write down and explore.
Yeah.
That could be
Yeah, I
something.
think it'd be good for both of them maybe, if it's, if it's able to.
You know what might,
logistically and whatnot.
what might be really good with it is actually having maybe either my seniors who've already gone through Maymester or the juniors that have gone through, maybe mentor or help to mentor the fifth graders.
Yeah, yeah.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
All right, is that it?
I think so.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. All right. Item number on the agenda is scheduled public comment. I received none, neither did Kelly or Tanya. Okay, great, moving on. All right, item number 5 is the consent agenda. We have the minutes from the October 29th, 2024 meeting and closed session, along with human resource updates. Can I get a motion? Mike Aldred.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have support? James Summers. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 6, superintendent's report. Dr. Milligan.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Aaron, appreciate that. Of course, we have to start with the fun stuff. It has been a busy, busy 2 weeks, so I have lots to share. Starting with, Aaron, is it on? Now it is. It was a test. I did not pass. There we go. Okay, so this was the entire cabinet in all our glory, and we were dressed up as Inside Out characters. And Riley is a character in Inside Out, played by Principal Satterstead. So we actually visited every single school. So we were hustling, especially since our elementary schools got out early that day. But in addition to looking amazing, there is a method to our madness, right? So by visiting schools and having fun, there's a lot of really positive things that can come from that. So first, just fostering a sense of connection and just having fun humanizes us, right? We're not just there, we're not robots to, okay, we are checking curriculum, we're human, just like everyone else. It boosts morale, shows that we're interested in staff and students' well-being. It promotes positive culture and demonstrates that we value collaboration, joy, which is who I was, joy, and balance. And then it provides enjoyment and laughter, and who doesn't want to see their superintendent in blue hair? I mean, let's be real. It was a good look for me. So we got to visit all of our schools, and people were just having such a wonderful day. So that's Crossroads, of course. Don Maskell and his staff were serving popcorn to their students. And then, of course, dancing at Lakeville, they had a Monster Mash, which was really, really fun. Of course, we got out there on the dance floor and got our groove on. That had to happen. OHS, I tell you what, whew, that was a lot of energy at, 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, but they were ready and raring to go. So that's a car wash. It was awesome. And then an entire hallway of the high school was set up as a construction zone. They even had like a roundabout and had some construction pieces, and the teachers were holding signs. Again, just lots of joy. The kids were having a good time, lots of smiles. We have lots of staff throughout the district who dressed up, of course, Wayne's World. We had the Peanuts, our OHS staff, administrative team there as Peanuts. And of course, Good old Chad Boyd as the ref there at Daniel Axford. And then bonus points if we know what the character is on the end there. Yes! So awesome, Miss Frizzle. Yep. It was a great time. And then, of course, twinning is winning. So there were other staff that had the same idea of dressing up as Inside Out characters. So we found our twins. My favorite, of course, is Pam there was twinning with Teddy, who was also embarrassment. I don't know, the fear, John, you really nailed that fear. You look amazing in that picture. Well, why are you hiding? It was just really, really fun to get out there and partner with our teachers and just enjoy the day. Moving on to last Saturday, well, week ago Saturday, our parent education fair. We had a team of staff as well as our partners that came together and planned this event. It was an amazing gathering of resources for parents to support their child's mental health and well-being. I shared my own personal story on how there were some challenges when I was a young parent with young children, and had I known some of these things, I probably would have done something different. So when we know better, we can do better. So it was great to see the parents out, a very well organized, very well fed group of people, and our partners were amazing, and the information that they provided I think was tailored, very well tailored to the needs of our parents. So I appreciated that. So thank you to the entire planning team. Anita especially did a great job. And of course, our board members who volunteered and supported. So thank you. We've had several trips to Detroit with our students. So we had Clear Lake fifth graders go to Detroit to visit DIA, the Institute of Art, to go see the Day of the Dead, Ofrendas, and Mexican Town, where they got to practice speaking their Spanish, which is really cool. You can do that locally. Very nice. Of course, mock voting. How adorable is that? No, Brad, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the youngin' in the middle. And they voted on different things like favorite ice cream or, favorite pie or whatever. So, it just gives them a feel and kind of includes them in that day, in the election day. So they're a part of it. Pretty adorable. Oh, Miss Nemi. I'm so sorry. Now, I think the funniest part about this is this little girl's face. It's like she is getting way too much joy out of doing that to her principal, but that was a PBIS. Oh yes, I put that up there, sorry. I'm getting mean looks, but it was such a great day. I'd gone to the one at Leonard, and it was really, and just the joy of the kids and how much fun they had. And they silly stringed one of the staff members, so this team went with pie in the face. That probably felt really good. So yeah, great day at Clear Lake. Of course, I want to say congratulations to our football team. What an amazing season. That was them winning the game at Davison. What the energy, just the whole season was just amazing. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to the coaching staff, to the staff of the high school, to all of our families and parents and everyone who supported the team. It was really fun to be a part of that. So congratulations. Unfortunately, they won't be moving forward, but they got really far this year. That was impressive. Congratulations to our boys cross country, 13th in the state. So that's very impressive. And of course, Mallory Bigelow got 16th in the state and earned her 4th all-state honors. So that's really impressive. Congratulations. I had the chance to go to the Dance Conservatory performance. It was literally like being at a professional dance performance. It was incredible. So Dana Brewer and her team put an amazing program together. The girls were phenomenal. And then on the right, you might be asking, what's going on there? They had a dad dance-off. So the girls, and if you can see, I don't know if my laser beam will work. You see this right here? These are their daughters cheering their dads on in the dance contest. It was awesome. They had the best time, and I had the best time watching them. One person's grandparent got up, her grandfather got up, and he did amazing. It was really fun. So great job there. I wanted to give a shout out to our theater program, they're putting on a play this weekend called These Shining Lives. It's happening at the high school, and there are tickets available, so I'll be going on Friday and looking forward to it. And finally, very exciting, we have our very own Rosie the Riveter who saved the day. So this is Shannon Carl. She's a social worker at Leonard. She was volunteering at the Detroit Free Press Marathon, and a man actually collapsed, and she provided CPR for this person and saved his life. So pretty incredible, and she had just been trained the month before in Oxford. So she utilized those skills and saved a life. So Rosie Riveter. So that's awesome. Very proud. So those are just some happenings going on that I wanted to lift up. The next portion of my presentation I wanted to revisit. I had talked at the last presentation about some of the deltas, the changes that we needed to consider for the lockdown, and so I'm going to go through some of those. The first thing I want to say is thank you to staff and parents and community members. I got lots of feedback that gave me an opportunity to partner with my team and make improvements, so thank you for taking the time to do that. Like I say all the time, when we know better, we can do better, and we are definitely growing and learning. So I wanted to look at some of the time frame. We had some questions around time frame, so I wanted to revisit the time frame. So 11:44, the dispatcher did receive a call about the alleged male in the bathroom with a weapon. So I asked them about the sheriff's department about the time frame. So when a call comes in, there are very specific protocols that they have to follow, questions they have to ask, people they have to talk to. It doesn't just like get a call and turn it right around. So it does take a few minutes to do that. So the call went out at 11:48. That did include the, Detective Rafalski, and then they were dispatched to the high school. They arrived at 11:50, 11:51. That's when Rafalski and Dr. Williman put the school on lockdown. And then the campus and district ICS charts were activated during that time frame, 11:51 to 11:52. At 11:59, that's when we discovered that students had left the building. They had gone outside the back of the gym based on the Alice protocol, and then she called to activate the reunification team. At 12:03, we got Dr. Williman spoke with Chief Majestic to mobilize his group if that was needed. Staff was updated electronically at 12:06. And at 12:08, there was an announcement to remain in lockdown. At 12:10, the reunification team arrived at Meyer and began setting up. Mental health support arrived there as well. At 12:10, district communications sent out to OHS staff and parents. I'm going to share in just a second what we're going to do differently on that one. I got a hold of Todd to begin gathering outside mental health resources, and that included All for Oxford to provide support. And then during 12:13 to 12:17, Todd contacted NOCC and Common Grounds to assemble at the Resiliency Center for resources to support our students and families. At 12:17, Mike Strong contacted drivers to return to transportation so that we could get our students transported home once the lockdown was lifted. And then at 12:19, the OHS staff was deployed to Meyer. And at 12:20, communication to all district staff and parents regarding exactly what was happening with the lockdown. and the reunification staging areas were set up and functional. So we didn't have all of those times because we had a quick turnaround to present at the last one, so I wanted to revisit that. Is it perfect? Nope, it isn't. But it gives us a frame of reference to say, okay, where are the gaps? Where can we tighten some time up? All in all, we got over 1,600 students out of the building safely. I'm not saying it was perfect, but we got them home, and everybody was okay. So what we're looking at doing is improving various features of this. So here are some issues that we're working on and have worked on. So the use of the PA system versus the mass notification system. Both our high school and middle school have tested their mass notification systems. The nice thing about the mass notification systems is that there are speakers all over the place in tremendously more areas than the PA. So you can hear it in a variety of locations that you wouldn't necessarily hear the PA. So we tested that. Testing of all speakers submitted requests to upgrade in large areas. So in the larger areas like the theater, the gym, it still, even the cafeteria, it still wasn't as loud as we would want it to be, because if you think about how many students could be in that area during any time, it's going to be a loud space. So we want to make sure that the speakers are loud enough so that everybody in that space can hear. So we are putting a work order in for that to upgrade that. And then we're also working with Summit, who works with our mass notification system, to have buttons that provide messages according to our standard response protocol. So our hope is that they'll be in the buildings November 23rd to put those pieces in. So essentially what we'll have to do is just push a button. It'll say we're going into hold. Push a button, we're going into lockdown, so on and so forth. So it just streamlines the process that's aligned with the standard response protocol. We do not have that right now. Like, we do have a button, but it just talks about active shooter, which isn't necessary. That's not one of our protocols as far as what our students need to do, a hold or a lockdown. So we are upgrading that. They have we're using a tool. It's AI generated voice. So we can do like real soft voice or, a British voice or whatever. We probably won't use that. But again, we want something that's calm. We want something that is noticeable by students, something we can practice with, so that kids know exactly what's going to happen. Because it's one of our tools in our safety toolkit, and we need to be able to use it effectively. An issue was the organized movement from the lunchroom, because obviously that's a large group of students that we need to move. So we're talking about various protocols. We did test the speakers in the cafeteria, so we are addressing that. One of the things we talked about was designating specific areas in the space. So if you're in this area and over to the left, you go to the media center. If you're in this area and you're over to the right, you're going into the gym. We did have some students locked down in the coach's office, which is fine, not ideal, but it is fine. There is night lock in place. We got some information that maybe there wasn't a night lock in place, but there actually is. And there is a mass notification speaker in that room. So it's a very large room right off of the cafeteria. So it could be used, especially if we are using the mass notification speaker. So those are some things we're working on. Here's a couple other pieces we're working on. There was some concern about the delay in messaging. So School Messenger is really clunky. Like, you can get the message in, but it takes a minute for it to process and actually be pushed out. And so we're looking at possibly having other platforms that we might be able to use that are more efficient and effective. They go out faster, and they go out into multiple platforms. So email, social media, texting, a variety of platforms, website, so that we're not doing those things separately. Again, trying to save time, trying to scrunch those minutes. One of the things the students gave us feedback on was, the teachers were getting messages, the parents were getting messages, we were not getting messages. And obviously, that's a very valid point. So we will include students in the messaging when we send all district messaging out. And we will also look at when we provide that initial message that we automatically say, go ahead and assemble the reunification team, right? Just not knowing if anybody chooses to leave, but let's just be prepared ahead of time. Let's be preemptive. And so saying, and another thing that, so we were trying, it's always challenging. You want to give as much information as possible because people want to know. Like I was getting texts within minutes from people, what's happening? I need to know. I don't know yet. It literally just happened. And so I think we hesitate to send out a message just because we don't have enough info. We want to give people information, so we're gathering information to send, but that's a delay in time. So one of the things we'll do differently is we'll share the information immediately. Here's what's happening. Such buildings on a lockdown, more information to follow. So at least we can get the message out there that it's happening and then continue to send messaging. I think the feedback I got was that we did a better job on that, is just multiple messages and just kept sending messages. It's just that we need to push it back to just go ahead and send what we have, and that will give additional information. So, so those are some communication pieces we're addressing. Reunification process and protocols, definitely need to strengthen that. One of the things that will help is a reunification map that we work with with the high school, it would be Meyer, but all the other schools have reunification sites. So working with those reunification sites to have a map that shows the space, where does everybody go, where are the spaces, how are the spaces set up, so that everybody has a visual. People tend to be able to read visuals quickly and be able to respond quickly. When you get a lot of text, it's hard to, okay, what's the next step? So maps are really helpful, so we're working on those. I mentioned team dispatch as soon as the lockdown is communicated. And then we're revisiting the reunification cards process. That was also kind of clunky, and exploring electronic options. That was quite a bit of feedback that we got regarding the reunification cards. So we're definitely needing to streamline that more efficiently. Obviously, very stressed out people, they don't want to be worrying about filling out a card. They're just really stressed out. So how can we do that in a more streamlined fashion? The last piece, I think it's the last piece, practicing our standard response protocol drills. I've been talking to our teams quite a bit regarding just practicing, just getting in the habit of practicing. These standard response protocols are the tools in your toolkit to keep kids safe. So when I put the school on a hold, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody has practiced it. It doesn't surprise anybody. And it gives me the ability to make sure whatever it is I need to do, I can do because my kids are on a hold. I know that where they are, they're safe. Same thing with a lockdown, same thing with a secure. So making sure that we're practicing. I'm going to have my middle and high school here talk about their practice drills this past week. Wait, no, yesterday was middle school, Thursday is high school, and what their process was to include families in that drill, include students, teaching staff, and just getting to a point where it's normalized. It's a shame to have to say that these drills have to be normalized, but they are the most important tool in our safety toolkit, and we have to be comfortable using them. So they'll talk about how they communicated with their families prior to the drill, how did they train the students so they knew what they were going to see, what they were going to hear, what was going to happen, so there shouldn't be any surprises in these drills. And then we are also planning on practicing some scenarios. The obvious question whenever you have something like this happen as an administrator is, what if that was me? How would I handle it? And so we're going to have an opportunity to work with our principals to work through that dialogue. And here's the challenge when it comes to these drills. So the principal in these situations, the principal is responsible for making that call. Do we go on a lockdown? Do we go on a hold? Do we go on a secure? And the principal has the most information of anyone in that entire building. They know their schedule, they know their students, they know where their students are, they know their staff, they know their safety team, they know the logistics of their building. So they're able to make those calls, and they have to make that executive decision, and it's not an easy one, right? I've been in that position multiple times, and people ask, well, why did you do this and not that? Well, you're running through so many different scenarios in your mind, and the number one thing is, what is in the best interest of kids? How do I keep kids safe? And that's what we're going to practice in the scenarios, right? Because a lot of it has to do with the thinking. We have to think through what information do we have? What decisions can I make right now to make sure that kids are safe? So that's what we'll run through with the scenarios. We sent this out to our parents when we talked about the drills that we were going to do. These are our standard response protocols: the hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. We all have the handy dandy cards on our keychains that were given out to all staff members. It is exactly the same here. This is used throughout the state, so everybody's using the same language. The one that we chose to do this week was a hold, and that is simply people stay in place, right? Kids that are in a hallway go back into their classroom. We don't have hall passes during that time period. There's a multitude of reasons that you might use a hold. Usually something's happening out in the hallway that you just want kids to be in their classes and not to come out. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a major deal or a major safety situation. I've used holds multiple times for a multitude of reasons. And so it's a wonderful safety tool to have for principals. So that's what they practiced this week. And where's my middle school people? Hey, it's Carl. Come on down. Yeah, sure. And Carl and Kevin have been instrumental in helping with this, so thank you for your efforts. Should be good. No?
So we conducted our whole drill actually yesterday, but I'm just going to take a couple moments to go through the process of the planning and preparation for this. So we have a timeline put in here of when we started our process, and going into this, we knew with the sensitivity of conducting these drills with our students, communicate, communicate, communicate. So correspondence was sent out to our staff late last week to let them know that we were going to conduct the drill yesterday, and then that coincided with district communication that went out to our families. So that went out, and then yesterday, well, prior to that, then we did our mass notification test. So Mrs. Satterstadt played some lovely Christmas music over the mass notification system, and the rest of us went around to make sure that all the speakers were in fact functional in the building, so that we have a really good range in there. Then on the morning of the 11th, during our morning advisory, we created a screencastify that coincided with the slide deck, so the messaging was consistent to our students. It kept that confusion away from our teachers so they could just go through it with the kids. We explained the terminology of what a hold is and what they would do during that time. Then we did our PM announcement. Again, it was another reminder for our kids that we were going to begin the drill, to which point we then went over the mass notification system and conducted the drill. After that, we had our staff complete a survey. Mrs. Satterstadt loves a good survey, but we got some really good information from it that will help us to improve the process when we go forward with these drills. So out of all of our staff, we had one staff member that was not present to complete the survey, but 83.6% said they clearly heard the announcement in their classrooms and the other areas of the building that they were in. 14.5% said they could hear it, but it was hard to understand because there was an echo. So what we learned in the process is where the microphone system is to make the announcement, we actually have a speaker right behind it. So there's some kickback from it. So as we're making the announcement, it's coming through the speaker. That did cause some distortion in some of the classrooms. So that's something that we'll have to address with the security company. If we can lower the volume on that, deactivate it, I'm not sure. So again, as we go through these, we learn more and how to improve the process. But the kids did great. All in all, I think start to finish, it was less than 6 minutes. We dispersed our staff out into the building. We did some random door checks to make sure they were shut, and they were moving on with their classroom activities during the time. So staff and students did a really good job with it.
Okay, thank you, Carl, appreciate that. And then we'll have high school. Brad Bigelow.
All right, good evening, everybody. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice, so just bear with me. A very similar timeline process with the high school that you just saw from, or you heard from Dr. Sproul, what they've done at the middle school. Our initial communications went out to both our staff and our families on the 8th as well. Last Friday, we had conversations with our counselors, our mental health team, in terms of communicating with those highly impacted kids and making plans for them in advance of Thursday's drill. We had our advisory lesson today, this afternoon, that included just a video message from myself so the kids could hear and see me as we talked through the whole drill, the purpose, expectations, those types of things. And that coincided along with a slide deck as well. We had some slides which further explained and reiterated what I discussed in the video. We have reminder announcements the next 2 days, just again reinforcing again. Come Thursday during second hour, we're going to be holding our drill. Here are the things that you can expect, the things that we expect from you as well. And then just like the middle school, we'll be following up with an email to our staff in regards to the mass notification speaker system, getting feedback from them.
That's awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brad. And we're going to be practicing a drill each month. Again, it's not required by state law. However, we want to make sure that we are continuing to practice and feel more comfortable with these drills so that when we do need to call a drill, it doesn't create additional stress for our students or staff. So we just want to make sure, and we will roll out the same type of trainings. So we'll communicate with staff and families. We'll provide messaging for students and learning opportunities for students. We'll remind, and then practice the drill, right? And essentially, we're just trying to get everybody in the habit of knowing what these drills are, knowing what they mean, knowing what they look like, so that when we do need to call them for a safety reason, it's just like any other drill. They know how to navigate that situation. I don't know, is Allison here? There you are. Yeah, so we put Raptor in place this school year, and it consolidated a lot of the things that we had been doing separately. So those things have been going very well. We've gotten feedback as far as the efficiency and effectiveness, but I'm going to have Allison speak to what you see on the right is actually a screenshot of my cell phone. So you can actually download the Raptor program or app on your phone, and Allison's going to talk about what the potential of that would be for staff.
So there's a couple of things, and sorry, my voice is going too. I'm going to blame the weather. There's a couple of things that we'll be able to do with that, and one of those is we would have what would effectively be our silent classroom alarms, as we know, and I've talked about Alyssa's Law coming into place. And so this would give us that, but still have the same language as the standard response protocol that our staff is used to and that our students will be drilling on. Additionally, within this is part of the emergency management piece is not only the standard response protocol, but as you can see down here where it says team assist. So if there's a need, if a student faints and we don't necessarily right away need to use one of these 5 at the moment, we need to let someone know. They're able to hit that team assist, and then we can program it so the campus response crisis team would be able to go to it if they witness a fight, things like that. So being able to, now that we've rolled out visitor management and the student safe portion, now we're going to continue to build and be able to use our emergency management. And next week, we have, Dr. Milligan, myself, and Trevor Marshall will have a meeting with Raptor to roll this out and just start making sure that each campus is able to get thoroughly trained in it and feel comfortable in it, because it is a two-step process. You don't just tap the lockdown button and the world happens, because I don't know how many of you have accidentally opened up your phone by Face ID, or it's a two-step process. So they would have to press and then slide in order to activate anything. But before we do that, we also want to ensure that we're in communication with the Village PD as well as our Oxford substation and dispatch. Much like with our Zero Eyes, that is something we're in constant communication with Captain Jen Miles at Dispatch to be able to make sure she's receiving those things. So we'll do the same thing. We have to plan both for our staff, but also for our community partners, so that they're aware of what this will look like, sound like, as we prepare to drill within that. And as Dr. Milligan referenced, the cards for reunification, that is part of the standard reunification method, but there is a piece built in within the Raptor alert so that we would be able to do accountability through the app as opposed to having to use the cards, but still have the cards, train the cards as a backup, because you never know, cell phones, batteries die, networks go down, internet goes out, a multitude of things, but being able to get everyone comfortable on both systems so that we're prepared either way.
Thank you. So what we'll have to do for this standard response notification is it has to be coupled with training. What we don't want it, because this can be on everybody's, all staff members' phone. So they have their phone. It can also go onto our district computers in a classroom if they don't want to put it on their phone. They can create these alerts. So they can be in their classroom and be like, hey, there's a situation, we need to go on lockdown, or so on and so forth. Now, the challenge with that is if it's done inadvertently. Now, Allison's point is you do need to push it and then slide. But as we were doing the training in August, and the board members know this, someone did that inadvertently, and everybody got a message that we went on lockdown, which was not accurate. So it's really important that we train on this, because we certainly do not want to accidentally put lockdown in, but it is going to be a wonderful tool once we're able to get that training set up and make sure people understand how it works, when you use it, what will happen once, you know, that notification is sent. Yeah? Okay. Thanks, Allison. Okay, so, and again, thank you to everybody who gave feedback. It is really important that I hear everyone's voices. Because again, my favorite saying, if I know better, I can do better. So we continue to improve. I have had some parents reach out regarding some concerns for their students on safety protocols and their students' accommodations. And so please reach out to your building principal, because they'll be able to work with their safety team to make sure that the needs of the student are accommodated. Because you are welcome to reach out to me, but the principal knows all of the protocols for that building, the staff for that building. So what my response will usually be is to connect parents with the principal. So save time, go straight to the principal, and they are going to do a great job of supporting their students. So thanks again. Thank you for presenting. Appreciate my team and your support. Questions?
Any questions from board?
I have a quick one too. As far as the Raptor, with the cell phone app, what is the physical component alternative? You know, like you said, networks down, phone instead. Thank you.
If they don't want to get if they don't want to put it on their app, we can put it on their district issue device, but they also have the cards. What they found from Appalachian High School was people who called 911 got there sooner than the response from the cards. So we're trying to cut down on any time and really look through, is that cost effective? Because there is a whole other component of what cost-wise we would have to do when we have that available to us, and then knowing what we know from Appalachian High School.
Okay.
So that is available, but we want to look into that a little bit more
Sure.
before we make that decision.
Okay, thank you. And as far as the mass notification system, at the high school particularly, what is the expected completion date for, we're still finding that we can't hear in spaces, and I think if you would have asked any of us this before the lockdown, we would have never believed it. So what are we actually looking at time-wise?
Yeah. So I think the date I had on there was November 23rd. They were planning on, that's the day we don't have students. Coming back, we're looking at putting in the protocols, the standard response protocols in the actual system where you push the button and it says the voice for the, we're going on to a hold. Here are some instructions for that hold. So we're looking at that. We're putting in a work order for the speakers to make sure that the speakers are functioning. So for the most part, the speakers are in great shape. It's certain spaces that it just needs to be louder. We need a more powerful speaker. We need a larger speaker. So for example, in the theater, they have multiple speakers, but because it's just a large space, it sounded really distant. So we're going to need to have, I spoke with Kevin about this, a larger speaker probably at the front of the theater that faces the crowd so that they can hear it more directly, because it sounds too far away. You really need something more direct. So John is working with Summit to get pricing for new speakers. So what would you say within the next couple of weeks we'll have?
Depends how long it takes for the equipment and getting scheduled in. So,
Yeah.
maybe a couple weeks to a month.
Yeah. So until then, the speakers are functioning. They can be better, So we're looking at making sure it's ideal to the absolute top notch that we want it. Right now, the speakers are everywhere. To Carl's point, predominantly working well. There's some echoes in certain ones, but for the most part, people are able to hear it and receive the message. And then I'll give another update as soon as we have a timeline. Does that help?
Okay, yeah, no, that's very helpful, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and just a comment that, thank you for your presentation. I love seeing all the pictures. I love the positive impact that you're having on the culture in the school.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you, so thank you.
And I had a great time. Really, I was bringing joy all over the district. It's amazing. Literally. Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Comments? Thank you, Tanya. All right, item number 7 in the agenda is Board of Education matters. We had 2 field trips that came to us last time. The first one is for boys varsity baseball. If I can get a motion, Mike Whitney.
Move to approve the OHS boys baseball field trip request to Kalamazoo Central High School, April 18th and 19th, 2025, as presented.
Do I have support? Colleen? Support. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The second one was for the second boys baseball trip. Amanda?
Move to approve the OHS boys baseball field trip request to Clearwater, Florida, March 22nd through 25th, 2025, as presented.
And do I have support? Mike Whitney? And any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have another field trip that you're going to present to us, Dr. Milligan?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Our OHS choir, dance, and improv are looking to go to Chicago in May. They'll have a chance to do a workshop with Second City and see a musical, and they have a whole series of events that they'll be experiencing cultural places as well as museums, so it's very educational, and it's Chicago, so there you go.
Great. All right, we'll review that at the next one. Thanks for including the itinerary. All right, item B on the agenda is committee updates. We did have a finance committee last week, was it? All right, well, my time, yeah, time goes fast, is what I'll say. I know John's going to come up and talk about the OELC playground equipment, but real quick, I'll cover some of the things that we did talk about also. One of the questions that had come up is regarding our revolving loan program and how that works in times with our bond that we had issued back in 2015. We had made a recommendation, Mike and I, after John had given us a nice little presentation on it, that we have him do a formal presentation to the board in January, so that way all the board members that will be sitting in January, he doesn't have to repeat it necessarily, and that everyone's kind of brought up to speed during that, so that way, so that was our recommendation. You guys can obviously tell me that was silly. It's just a committee recommendation, but we thought it would be best presented in January when he's going to do quarterly educations with the board on finance. It's a very complex, dense topic. It's not, you know, the most riveting in the world, and a little puzzling in how we got there, but certainly as a board member, a responsibility for everybody to know. So he's going to amp up the education for everybody since we have a young board. So any questions on that? He'll talk about OELC. The other things we talked about was our parking lot at OEIC was finished. Both the roof and the kitchen for OEIC are still in process with the state, and I'm assuming you've heard nothing since the 2 weeks, right? So we're going to reach out to some legislators to see if they can help us facilitate the process for those projects. The state is on a backlog. They require anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks to make any type of approval of plans, and we're really at their mercy at this point. Everything has been submitted to the state, and we're just hurry up and waiting to hear. We're really wanting to make sure that, you know, we get, if we can get priority, at least for the roof at the bare minimum. The kitchen's super important, but the roof is also super important for that building, because we don't want any interior damage to occur to the community space. In addition, there's a couple boiler projects that are going for Lakeville and OEIC, which I'm sure John can talk a little bit more, but as you recall, we had set up the finance committee to also talk about some facilities stuff until we have a full facilities assessment, so that way there's some awareness at the board level happening of what's happening from some of our capital needs and big equipment throughout the district. Mike, did I miss anything? I'm sure John can remind us too.
Yeah, I mean, there was the one discussion about the set site for OEIC, but there wasn't really a concrete update yet.
Right, we're still exploring insurance options. So, and we're reviewing our current quote and looking at deductions for set site to see if we can drive down some of the costs on our plans currently. So. All right, the other thing that's on the agenda that's actually under is our OELC playground equipment, which John is here to talk about, is in the packet, so take it away.
Good evening. Yeah, in the board packet is the Word documentation for the Early Learning Center's playground project there. It's a project that's purchasing and installing at Clear Lake Elementary. The pricing that's utilized in the project comes from a Sourcewell cooperative contract. Sourcewell is one of the several organizations out there that does contracting, cooperative pre-bidding of contracts for government and school entities to use. When you use a cooperative contract, pricing, it kind of preempts the bidding part, not the whole process. It still goes to the board and gets formal approval, but the bidding piece, it's almost, it's tantamount to and complies with state regs when it comes to the whole process of bidding. So they're basically, think of them as pre-bid pricing pieces. That's part of the whole project that's in front of you tonight. The structure itself is for 2 to 12-year-old students at Clear Lake. Currently, there's not one that's really geared for that age group, or at least it's really on the low end, but you can go older. In terms of the project, there's actually going to be a removal of some existing broken equipment, installation of this new equipment. There's another piece that's existing that's in storage that's going to be combined with this. The good pieces that are still there, they're going to be kind of rehabbed. And then there's going to be a whole new installation, so that's some of the pictures you see in the packaging, that all said and done, it will look a little bit bigger. It'll be all fresh, new base. All the equipment will be new or newly renovated, so to speak. So when that comes online, the funding piece of the project, $25,000 of the cost is coming from a startup grant that Ann had gotten along with through OELC's expansion of the GSRP programs that entitles her to make a request of that kind of money via the ISD. There's the process itself in terms of getting that grant. It's literally a slew of different things you can request, and the whole project, or the whole grant piece that the OLC is bringing in touches on more than just this project, so this is really a smallish piece of the whole grant. So this is all 37,000. I believe the grant's either 125 or 150,000. Don't recall right now off the top of my head. But that's used for startup because she expanded some classrooms and things like that, and it's got that money coming in that route. The remaining 12,000 is going to be coming from her operating fund. The reason the split in the funding there is that there is a limitation in the startup money that for this kind of a capital request, and there's a separate route to do that too, tied to that money. It's capped at 25,000, so she's utilizing that. And the reason this piece is coming into Clear Lake is that over the last few years, she's worked with different elementaries in her district upgrading their playscapes using similar money here and then some of the COVID grant money and things of that kind of funding over the last few years. So it's one more step to getting the playscapes for the little ones in the district up to speed, current, and safe. So we are asking that the board we are recommending the board authorize the administration to execute these contracts, move forward with this project, and award this bid. I would be more than happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the board? No? All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks for approval. All right, next item on the agenda is Remembrance Week. Todd Barlis.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm happy to bring to you guys an update and kind of an overview regarding our Remembrance Week activities and opportunities that are going to be taking place. I want to take just a moment to thank our Strategic Planning Committee and our community partners for coordinating and planning the supports for the 2024 Remembrance activities and resources to honor Justin, Madison, Tate, and Hannah, as well as all of our learning community regarding, their recovery. So we've really tried to take an approach that we have in similar years with taking that committee and working over the last several weeks in order to put plans in place to effectively address the needs of a variety of people at different phases of their recovery in our community. Members of that planning committee include the DDA, Kelly Westbrook and Kimberly Smith, Tanya Hamilton of NOCC, Stacy Williams with Oxford Addison Youth Assistance. We had Kelly Marshall and Jamie Ayers with the Resiliency Center on that committee, and of course our Oxford team, which included the Oxford High School Building Leadership Team, Aaron McLeod, our Recovery Coordinator, Bridget Bittner, our Restorative Practices Coordinator, Ryan Reed, and myself. So we have met on a number of occasions together in order to put the specific plan together that we're going to kind of coordinate and review this evening. So to start out with, again this year, our leadership team is coordinating for our high school students an opportunity to light up the high school with love. They're going to be doing that November 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. We're providing pizza. Our staff are joining them, and they are hanging lights throughout the building, and they've done that the last 2 years. So we are continuing that. Our students are excited to do that. And I want to thank our leadership class and teachers for really spearheading that and moving that forward. Our outdoor lighting was installed on October 17th. Thanks to Jim Gibbons for leading that charge, making sure that we got them out there. And so the outside of our school will be lit up as well as the inside of our school, which is very nice at the entrance there. Again, at the high school, we're going to be providing additional guest teachers both on Tuesday, November 26th, prior to Thanksgiving break, as well as Monday, December 2nd, when our teachers return, just to allow our staff the opportunity, if they're activated for some reason on either of those days, to be able to step away from their classroom, have that relief, to be able to take some time to self-regulate, pull themselves together, get what they need for themselves, and then return to their classroom and support their students. On Tuesday, November 26th, our senior class is actually planning, as well as along with our FSLs at the high school during 6th hour. They're going to be doing their first annual Friendsgiving. So our senior class is coming together. They're going to have finger foods. They're planning to have a playlist. They're uploading pictures and messages of affirmation that will be streaming during that event. And they're just taking some time to connect and come together as a senior class. They really, we touched on the lockdown, and our seniors were struggling with managing some of those emotions, some of how they were activated as a result of that, and this is going to be an opportunity for them to come together. And they had also indicated they wanted something that they could pass on to other senior classes. So we've identified this as our first annual, and this is something that they're going to be able to pass on to other senior classes in coming years with a Friendsgiving. So they will have snacks. They've got a cotton candy machine. They're going to be doing an origami crane making activity there during that event for the seniors. So kind of fun. They're excited to be planning. Our staff, I actually just got the list. They're doing care bags for all of our seniors as well for when they leave the event, which will be nice. So. Meals for our staff at the high school. So every year we've been very fortunate. Our community partners have stepped up each year. The one thing that we've learned is we've worked with other districts in other communities that have had similar tragedies. Over time, as people look back as to what was most helpful for their staff, they've said the opportunity to connect as a learning community, come together and spend time together while they break bread. And so we've really embraced that through the guidance of work with other communities across the country. I want to highlight, prior to Remembrance Day, November 25th and 26th, the Resiliency Center is sponsoring Sick Pizza for lunch. We've got Guardian who's stepping up and providing breakfast bagel bombs, so we're keeping it local. Evergreens is providing that, and Go Guardian is funding that. Not Go Guardian, I'm sorry, that's one of my other roles in the district. So HR actually was able to facilitate through Guardian to support us with that effort in the morning. And then Oxford Bank's providing Apache Mexican Grill for lunch. And we've got NOCC that's doing breakfast with DK Donuts on December 3rd, that Tuesday. Wednesday the 4th, we just had Woodside Bible Church reach out to us this week, and they want to provide lunch on that Wednesday for our staff, and they were really adamant they wanted to serve our staff. So they're actually having people out to actually cater that food in and serve our staff lunch that day. So wonderful opportunity. Great community partners, and we're very appreciative of them. With our other schools across the district, as we've done in the past years, we are providing luminaries. They'll be available for all of our students and staff, and they'll be distributed at the school level. Those have been arriving today in mass. My email has been going off with Amazon, delivered. So anyways, and our schools are preparing to distribute them accordingly. All staff will be welcomed back to school on Monday, December 2nd by their well-being committee champions in their building, and they're going to receive a carnation of flower just to acknowledge them. One thing that we've learned recently is that staff at this point in our recovery, sometimes we lose focus of just acknowledging our staff for what they do every single day, what they push through at different times with different experiences, and we want to be able to acknowledge them, and our well-being committee has really championed that for us. So we're providing flowers to each of our staff members as well as providing donuts at each building on Monday when they return from Thanksgiving break. Just kind of an overview. The DDA reached out to us, and we wanted to be able to support them with involving them in the committee with this planning, but they really wanted to be able to honor Wildcat Remembrance Day and be able to support our local downtown businesses, which are so important to our community. So they wanted to be able to hold space both to honor the importance of November 30th as well as support our local small businesses for Small Business Saturday. So what they've actually put together with our community is they're planning a community gathering in Centennial Park at 9 a.m. just to kind of kick the day off. They're going to be the theme is going to be a hug and a mug for our community, and they're going to provide the first 100 visitors with a mug and a free coupon for a hot beverage at a specific establishment downtown there. They will also be offering luminaries to anyone who comes down there at Centennial Park. They're going to have a decorating station for families, and they're going to be distributing flyers with community resources that are available, whether it be at All for Oxford, Common Ground, or any of our other businesses that support our families with those types of resources. I've invited the Wildcat Pack to be out for that event, as well as I spoke with a couple of our volunteer organizations, and Wiley, our therapy dog at All for Oxford, will also be there. So The DDA will also be providing resources and pushing that out through their social media advertising for the day. So they're advertising all the different resources for our community that we lean into during Remembrance Week. All for Oxford has a full schedule. They've actually built their schedule with some of the most popular activities that our families and community have taken advantage of over the last couple of years. So they've got sound healing, they've got yoga, donuts with dogs, all scheduled in the 2 weeks prior. And then the week prior to November 30th, they're actually doing Therapy Dogs and Seeds of Hope, which is a letter writing campaign to people can come in, they can write a letter to someone who has made an impact on them in order to affirm them, and they send that letter off to that particular trusted adult, that important person, with a packet of seeds to show that they planted a seed in their life. So that's an activity that the Resiliency Center is taking on. They're also planning an alumni mix and mingle for our OHS alumni from the last 2 years, and they're able to come back in, they're able to engage, connect with some of their classmates. They're doing apps, wings, finger foods things. They're doing mocktails, raffles, all kinds of things like that. So the goal was they had done a pizza party. They think some of our alumni are maturing to a point. They've been away at school for 2 or 3 years, and they think they might like more of an adult atmosphere, so they're going to try to do that. They are taking reservations currently for those activities too. So November 30th, again, they are supporting the Light Up Oxford with Love, 7 p.m., inviting the community to light a candle or create a luminary and display that on their front porch or in their windows. So all the events can be registered through All for Oxford, and that way they can be prepared for who's going to be in attendance. Some of our other community partners include St. Joe's Catholic Church. They, again, this year will open from 11 till 3 for anyone who would like to go there for a time of solitude, perhaps say a prayer, light a candle. People are welcome to gather there. They will also be ringing their bells again this year at 12:51. And they have done that every year for us, or not for us necessarily, but just to support our community. And then a new partner that stepped up this year for us is Black Cat Beanery of Lake Orion. So they have invited anyone from the community, including our staff, families, and students, to come out anytime between 1 and 5. And you're able to have a snack, get a beverage, spend some time with their cats in their cafe there. And so people find a time of solitude there as well. And they would like people to make reservations during that time. Typically, they do 1-hour slots, and you pay for a reservation, and you get to go there and have a snack and a beverage and enjoy the cats. They're all for adoption, I might add. And the registration link is included in the presentation there. So with that, any questions regarding the planning from the committee that's gone into our Remembrance Week?
No, and I thank the DDA for being thoughtful that Small Business Saturday is a national thing and how they could make it more meaningful for our community. So I do thank everybody who joined that. So it's a lot. So thanks, Todd. Any other questions or comments? Good. Item number 10 on the agenda is unscheduled public comment. We have none. Item number 11 is closed session. Can I get someone to read the motion? Colleen.
Move to meet in closed session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 8E, to consult with its attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation, case number 24-204988-CK pursuant to MCL 15.2688E.
All right, roll call vote, please. Oh, do I have support, Amanda? And then roll call vote, please, James?
Yep. Atchison?
Yes.
Alderwood? Yes. McDonough?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Whitney?
Yes.
Summers? Yes. Reese?
Yes. All right, it is 8:04. We are heading into closed session. All right, good evening. It's 9:02. 9:03, we're returning from closed session. Do we have any clarification from the superintendent? Any other board business? Final board comments? All right, 9:03, meeting adjourned. Thank you.